So I tried to make the title of the video as clear as possible so that when you guys start reading, then you can pretty much have a clear idea or a rough idea of what I'm actually going to be talking about. And this title in itself delivers the content that I promised. And with saying that, hey, how's it going, everyone? This is yours truly, Byron here. And today, I'm going to be discussing how exactly is putting one of the best gems to the One Piece plot. And overall, one might go as far as to say that, hey, she might just even turn out to be more entertaining than Nami ever was. So let's just go back all the way to chapter 13 when Sanji made his famous debut. And the thing that I want you to notice is that the way Oda set it up, Sanji's character was like this, that first of all, he served a essential comedy to the younger audience at that time. And believe me, that made them laugh their asses off, because at that time, using a female character as one of the main characters, like one of the people that the plot essentially circulated around, and I'm talking about like the Arlong arc back in those days, it was considered daring. And pretty much it's the same thing that Akira Toriyama did probably roughly around 2 decades before Oda actually adopted it. And I'm talking about, and at that time when Nami served as a gold gem, as a gem to the plot in purpose of comedy, was about the early 2000s, right? But since then, the trends have changed, the audiences have changed, and the generations have changed, their character development, their environment that they are growing up in demands something completely different. And if you just don't believe me, then go back to the early arcs that you can see that Sanji's and Nami's comedy routine is decreasing by every arc. And I'm talking about like Enru arc, it was at a peak. And then by that, it declined a little bit. And after that, like after the time skip, you get to see a lot of that happening. But it was just for the old time's sake and nothing else. And you can clearly see that the thing that the space that Oda created through the decades of creating manga in the minds of readers, that gap, that space is shortening by each day probably, and people are just not into that much anymore. And essentially how Nami's character is built in the series is that it's like a hit and run technique that Oda loves to use, that Sanji hits on her. That was entertaining in the past, and even now to some extent it is entertaining. Nami have had a significant amount of screen time, and this is easily justifiable. She is one of the Nakamas, one of the first one to join Luffy's crew. And now coming back to recent chapters, one could clearly see that the anchor point is now shifting to pudding. And I mean it in all aspects, not just comedy, but adding few extra elements to her, like her devil-fruit ability to manipulate someone's memory, which its full extent has yet to be seen, plus all the obnoxious plot armors and plot conveniences. I personally think that she's gonna do a great job. Another thing that I wanted to bring up is that Oda not only brought a completely different person, but he also brought something new to the table, the dual personality aspect. Now this could go pretty much well with zero negative impacts. Like for example, one of the quickest examples would be like in Inazuma 11, like there was this character known as Sean Frost, who originally was a defender in soccer, but when he switched to his duo, to his alternative personality, he became an attacker who played on the front lines. Now this situation not only gave the writer a lot of space to play around when it comes to action, but also simultaneously adding a element of surprise, plus in a conflict that could pretty much go either way. Now furthermore, taking an account of Oda's old habit of just like showing a serious scene and then instantaneously switching to his old comedy routine, and we all got to see that happen in more recent chapters. Like that when Sanji is like complimenting Pudding, and then Pudding just like suddenly switches back to like, hey, I just want to kill you. It just happens to remind me of an episode of a famous cartoon that used to come on Cartoon Network, and that was like The Courage the Cowardly Dog. Like there was this one episode when Muriel was possessed, and Eustace was like just trying to help her. At first glance, Muriel was just like a stupid, stubborn old evil witch. But the other moment she just acted like calm, and this instantaneous switch made all of us laugh our asses off. I mean, at least me. As far as I'm concerned, it just made my day. Lastly, when it comes to Uda's way of executing the situations, I just cannot see how could he make Sanji like cut ties with Pudding. I mean, he has made Pudding connected to Sanji emotionally, and you can all just see in a couple of slides of manga, you can just feel the vibe that Sanji is not willing to back off in regards of Pudding, and neither is Pudding. So I just don't see that happening, that Sanji is just gonna put Pudding's offer down, and you know, just everybody and everything is just gonna return back to normal when he have this golden opportunity of just adding so much new to the plot, not only in action but also in comedy, and this is just is his habit of doing things. So yeah, definitely I just have to say what a remarkable job Uda has done. And definitely, for sure, Pudding is a gem to the plot, to the One Piece plot. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to like, and make sure to also watch my previous video on the channel. And this is yours truly, Byron here, and I'm signing out. And as always, here comes the music.